Thank you so much, Stephonika, for your time for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
What is your favorite science fiction film?
Ooh, whoa, there are so many. Um, one of my recent favorites that leapt up into my top 10 is a movie called Prospect with Pedro Pascal. Um, I really like that movie because it's just about people in the world.
Right? And I assume science fiction is your favorite genre too, right? Right.
It is. I love sci-fi and fantasy. I'll write contemporary if I have to.
What got you into science fiction?
Oh goodness. I mean, if I have to take it way back, probably a childhood full of video gaming. Um, some of my favorite video games as a kid was like Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy kind of stuff. And just it always just seems so. It's escapist, but also like a playground for hey, if we don't clean up our act, like this is what our future could be, and that sucks.
Yeah. Oh, I was listening to you talking about Zelda on your YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Have you ever thought about starting a YouTube channel where you just review video games?
Oh man, maybe 10 years ago I could have done that. Um, anymore, well, I just don't have the time, and it's really sad. I think the only games I really am able to kind of like make time for are those two series. Like as soon as the new Zelda's out, as soon as the new Final Fantasy's out, I'm on it. I'm all over it.
What has been your favorite project you have worked on up to now?
um, I've just okay, yeah. I think one of my favorites so far because I work mainly as a production designer and set decorator. Um, One of my favorites so far has been this short film called The German King. Um, uh, my friend Ade McCormack, who you might know from Lost in Castlevania, I met him on another project, but he did this short film uh, about this Cambodian, oh god, right, Cambodian king, like back in the 1940s. I'm sorry, Ade. Um, and so it was just it was based on a true story, and that Cambodian king, resisting the Kaiser and all that good stuff. But
Oh,
yeah, that was a really fun, different project to do, and it was a really great weekend.
what was what was so great about it? Like what about the experience was out to you?
Um, the story that they wrote for that piece was just so captivating. Being based on a true story, um, a real life superhero. I mean, Black Panther was great and all, but you get this true to life hero. Um, and there's something magical about that experience of like telling somebody's true life story. Um, on a sort of low budget and doing the best that you can,
Yeah.
and seeing the final product, it was so beautiful.
What is a lesson you have learned in the process of writing Regenesis?
I mean, I guess really writing anything, it's just um I guess believe in it. I think for a while it was I was a little turned off from film festivals because a lot of my past ones just didn't really like seem to go anywhere. My past short films, um, and so either I just didn't understand the film circuit back then, and which ones to kind of go for, or whether my material just wasn't up to snuff, or a variety of things. Yeah. So I kind of got a little disheartened um, back then, and so it's always like, you're being judged whenever you put something out there, but really it's just believing in the project, and I absolutely I can't believe that it's doing so well. I think so far I've submitted to like 39 festivals, I think is the cutoff I had, and it's been selected, and I want to say 15 or 16. I think it has like a 75% selection rate at this point, and I wow, it's just really been um, really cool to see that it's been kind of hitting with some other folks. So just really believing in that in your writing and in your project.
What how did you come up with the idea behind Regenesis?
So I got really antsy during COVID. As I think we all were, I was very creatively trapped. We were playing board games a lot. Luckily, I'm in a household of like three, four, five people. So there was a bunch of us just holed up playing board games, for months on end. And so uh, the landscape of filmmaking has changed since then, and even back then, I think we all realized that like it's going to be different for a while. And as you know, uh, films started getting back in development and into production, there's only so many safety precautions that um, the actors can have, because at some point they have to take off their mask. And so it kind of the idea behind Miranda, one of the two leads in it, she is um, sealed in this hard suit and can't take it off, um, because she has like this incurable, very contagious disease. And so that actually came back from um, a character arc, a story point in another sci-fi series that I'd written like back in university, and I really liked that a lot, and that project kind of took a back burner. So I was like, I'll take this and write a news story about this character. And then, Atlas, I eventually gave a disability as well, where he had to wear a respirator because he had some bad lungs and whatnot. And so, that just kind of, it came out of wanting to try to make a movie during COVID that was also safe for the actors. And then it escalated into this amazing like world building experience, and also like, how do these two characters that cannot physically interact talk to each other? Like, how do they? It was a really interesting exercise, and then seeing where it went was so beautiful.
What was the most challenging part of writing it?
Um, that I think for that one, it was writing it within a budget that was producible, because the idea behind it was to produce it, self-fund it, and so I just kind of like staying within the parameters of what I knew was accessible to me. Locations, sci-fi is not always easy as far as locations, and so I think it was just kind of like trying to stay within those parameters of like limited characters, limited, landscape type stuff. And so I kind of drew from places that I'd scouted for other projects and knew that I probably could get access to. But then again, I never wound up producing it because the budget just kept going. I was like, if I'm gonna do this and do it right, like I can't self fund this. I don't have enough right now. Yeah.
Oh, who and what got you interested in the Zelda video games?
I can remember back when I was like 4 or 5. I don't know. Well, I wasn't 4 or 5. I was young. I was not in the double digits yet. um, I remember watching, whether or not this is true or not, but this is how I remember it. And so I remember watching my brother play A Link to the Past and just being like, what? This is cool. So like my introduction was watching my brother play it. And of course, then uh, I absolutely started playing Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. Still to this day are two of my favorite ones. And I play them at least once a year.
What was it like making the Zelda fan film?
Ooh, that was so much fun. Um, it was, oh my goodness. I bit off more than I can chew. Uh, that's that's the honest part. Because we shot that back in like 2016. We had 3 blocks of shooting, so we shot like the summer, and then we had like a weekend in the fall, and then week in December. It was so cold. Um, and so it's 2022, and it's it's still not out of post production. Um, but it became a 24-page script became a 70 something minute film because we added some scenes along the way, and just how it flowed and how we shot, how we edited it. Um, it really transformed it into this very beautiful piece that just kind of started snowballing. And I'm like, I'm trying to catch the snowball. Um, and so it's just been since then, my career's kind of shot off a little bit, and so it's become more of like this back burner piece, sadly, because it is uh, mostly self-funded, and so it's just we're waiting for that luxury money from the next couple of jobs to
Yeah.
pay for a few things. But like the overall production of it was just, I think I cried every single day on set, just because it was so magical of an experience. Seeing Chase Anderson, who played our little Link, just come across the field for the first time, dressed head to toe in his Link costume, it made me cry. I was like, oh my god, it's so amazing. My childhood has come to life in Ohio, of all places. Like, how are there castles good enough in Ohio? But there are. So just, and everybody coming together with that, and we didn't have, like, for instance, one single costumer. I think there were probably 7 or 8 costumers, because every costume was so very intricate. And so like our Zelda Ariel, she made her own Zelda. She cosplays a lot. She's very good at it. Um, and like we had some Renaissance Festival people, and they came in, and just it was absolutely amazing. Shooting at the Renaissance Festival in the winter and seeing the it covered in snow was, oh, I think I cried as well.
I hear different filmmakers have like excuses or reasons why they can't get a film or start shooting on something, which it takes a lot of work. But how were you able to convince people on a self-funding project to do Zelda?
I mean, luckily enough, I know uh, I've come to know so many amazing people along my journey in filmmaking, and so the amazing part of it was that um, like this concept film wasn't made by, just your generic group of fans. It was made by fans of the games who are also filmmakers and have experience with this, that, or the other department. Um, and um, you know, somehow everybody just really liked the script.
Awesome. Did you write
um,
it yourself?
I did. I wrote it. It's based on the defeated hero timeline from Ocarina, so it's
That's pretty.
hopefully it's uplifting, but it's also tragic if you know your Zelda timeline. So
So, and you're still haven't finished it getting shot yet.
yeah, production on that has wrapped, so we're done shooting. And it's 98% picture locked. Only because there's some stock footage that I've had my eye on, and I want to purchase some stock footage. Is a little pricey
Okay.
to increase that production quality. And I'm only gonna do this once, so I'm gonna do it right. Sadly, it just means it's gonna take a little longer than I anticipated.
If you ever had a like game wealthy, would you want to redo it and like try to do like Lord of the Rings version of like Zelda or
um, that'd be pretty cool. Not gonna lie. I think that'd be a great way to spend a lot of money. Yeah, no doubt.
That'd be pretty cool.
But hopefully somebody else is paying by then.
Yeah. How, with all the different projects you've done, how do you stay motivated when things get difficult?
I mean, luckily, I live in a household full of creative people. I live with my one roommate, Victoria. She is an AD, writer, director, um, always working. And then my other roommate, Brandy, she works at a talent agency, and she's also an actor. She pops in, and she's been doing costuming and stuff now too, and just like and people our door is a rotating door at this point, and so people are always coming and staying, when the next movie comes to town. And it's just every week, not every week, but we've finally been getting back to hanging out with some of our film friends, and we do script readings, we watch movies, we analyze them, and just like having that foundation of a group around you to keep you motivated to keep talking about it. I mean, if I lived alone, I would I probably just wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I would get more done because I wouldn't have all the distractions, but at the same time, I wouldn't have like that push,
Yeah.
to like keep going at a thing. And it's just like, oh, this is great. Like you should write the next draft. Um, so that, yeah, just having the people around is huge.
When you are writing, how do you approach the second draft?
Um, oof. I think it's different every time, but honestly, getting that first draft out, and not only getting your first draft out, but cringing while you show it to other people. And literally, at this point, I've got a pretty thick skin. And so it's like, if something's not working, okay, great, that's not working for you. Either I'm going to take it out, or I'm going to, do better. And try to make you understand, like, hit home that point that I'm trying to do. Um, but yeah, it's really, because at that point now you have, your blueprint. You can go back through and see what's working, what's not. And so like having that read through with a few folks is very, I think, vital, because you're not only kind of getting your ideas, because you can think it's a great idea the whole time, um, but you got to get outside of your head, and so having that read through with other people telling you what's working and what's not, or like, this line confused me, what did that, what did that mean? Just like, oh, okay. Yeah.
What were you the most proud of Regenesis once it finished writing the script?
I think what I was most proud of was that, I love the ending. um, Not that I'm gonna say what the ending is. But I think what I was most proud of was that, even at the first draft, it seemed to really click with the group of people I read it with, and these two characters really seemed to have really taken on a life of their own, and it's very much more, a character piece than a story piece. It's about these two people, how they interact. They're on very different paths when they meet, and it's just like, um, seeing their banter, and how they connect emotionally, and the fact that seemed to be working. Like, it's been tweaked. I think it's in draft 6, um, and really it's only had, you know tweaking. I haven't changed huge portions of it like I have done in the past for other scripts. So I was like, that's a rare, like, it sometimes happens, but like it's very rare when you like sit down and you write something that you don't really like rewrite a lot of, like, chunks of. So like seeing that it was like tweaks here and there that were being suggested was just like, oh, okay, hit the nail, let's go.
Do you feel like filmmakers have any responsibility to culture?
I would say, yes and no. Because you got your popcorn movies, and we all need an escape sometime, and just like not think about global warming for a minute. Um, but I think it's very important, that there be those stories out there that, remind us, give us our morality tales of just like, these are real people suffering real tragedies, or that's why documentaries are so important as well. It's just like, really educate yourself. But coming into like a narrative format, it's still, it's a way to, uh, cope with things, in an easier format. Like, I've used filmmaking as a form of self therapy myself, in the past. Um, I did a short film called Somewhere Inside Is Me, a few years back, and acted in it as well as wrote and directed. And it was basically my self therapy, for, um, like, back when I was 17, my father died in front of me. Um,
Sorry about
and
that.
so and thank you. That's very kind of you. But yeah, like, it took me a long time to kind of like, he died on my birthday, you know, and so like, just like this trauma that's just like, every year, comes around and whatnot. And so I'm just like, screw this, I'm taking back my birthday, I'm gonna like sit down, I'm gonna write this thing, I'm gonna get out all my emotions. And um and it and it was great. It was exactly what I needed, because in that, instance, you don't have closure sometimes to some things that happen in your life, and forcing yourself to kind of imagine and to write an ending, and kind of, that I don't go to therapy, I write it down. Yeah.
All right, and so that film, it's it just about like you getting your emotions out, or like what is the story about?
Yeah, I mean, for like, I think for that one specifically, it was a place to get your emotions out there and kind of vent a little, but then also you're using it in a format where you need a beginning, middle, and end. You need crafting it into an actual storyline. Um, is the difficult part. So it's like, how do you take these traumas and transform them into art? And then I think it's also ultimately about, like, I can't be the only one who's feeling this way and going through this thing. So it's also like, hey, I feel this way. You person out there, even if it's one person who feels the exact same way, because like my father and I didn't get along, and so there were very weird emotions, when he died. So it's just like, there's bound to be somebody else out there going through this thing and not knowing how to cope with this weird emotion trauma that they're going through. So it's like, hey, you're not alone, kind of a thing. And it turned out so beautiful. We had a very small crew doing that, and everybody was just so on board with it, and so that was truly great. I got to work with Cosette Payne again, this amazing child actor that I had worked with on the Zelda film, and oh, she's just so great. I can't wait to see everything, just everything that she does.
That's really wonderful. So, is that reason why you became a filmmaker? Because it's therapeutic for you, and it's kind of like telling your own thoughts and stories to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I thought I would be a novelist. I always wanted to tell stories. And so it was literally, yeah. Because earlier you mentioned Lord of the Rings. It was when I finally saw Lord of the Rings on the big screen, Fellowship. My mind was blown. I was 2001, so I was 12, 13, somewhere around there. I don't remember. It was a minute ago. It was like 20 years ago. What? I can say that about a thing. It was 20 years. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sometimes I have those moments where I was like, yeah, like I broke my arm 20 years ago. Oh crap. I can say that. Decades. It's been decades. Anyway, um, yeah, it was Fellowship of the Ring. I remember watching, and I was, yeah, my mind was blown. I was just like, all these stories, all these fantasies and whatnot. Like I can literally like take all these images of these places, and because I'm just like sketching these places and characters, on a notepad and stuff, and writing them in novel form, and then I was just like, I was opened up to this whole new way of telling my stories, and I was like, I can do that. I can do that right there. And that was pretty cool. And so I've been aiming toward writing and directing ever since. Thanks, Peter Jackson, and Walsh, Freya Walsh, Fran Walsh, the other writer. There was another writer. I swear there was. I'm so
as,
sorry. I'm so
as
sorry,
long
people.
as long as
Ah,
that movie was, I'm sure there had been multiple writers.
there was another writer in there somewhere, and oh my god. Thank you, writers and Tolkien, for going through all of that stuff and bringing back this amazing fantasy.
Oh, did you write a book, or I was thinking you
Um,
wrote a book.
I, I, I mean, air quotes. I wrote a book. Um, back in my teenage years when I was in high school, I was writing. this you know Star Warsy kind of galaxy. Um,
Was it better than the sequel trilogy?
um, no, actually, 'cause it was. If I went back to it, I mean, if I went back to my book and I rewrote it, I would have to toss all of the pages out. And I'm like, no, who's this 17-year-old girl trying to be Vader? Oh my god. Um, she doesn't know what she's doing. Um, but it's nice because that was a nice kind of like playground kind of moment, and there were a lot of characters and instances and stuff that sometimes like I'll go back to and be like, I need a new fun name, and like sometimes I'll go back to it and be like, I remember this one name from that first thing I ever wrote. So I'm gonna take that. Yeah, no, I've often thought about like going back to that book and just kind of like giving it a huge overhaul. But and there are a couple fantasy books that I had like outlined and stuff way back when. Um, and there's one that I still sometimes go back and I tinker on. So yeah, I'm trying to write a fantasy series. Um, but there's so many things. There's only so much time. Um, so it's just like at some point I'm gonna get all of the things done. We'll see. But they're there. So when I die, it's just gonna be like I give my password to somebody and be like, just go on there. There's a gold mine. Just like take whatever you want. And go in. I don't have time
Make
to do
it famous.
I don't have time. Start selling some of this stuff. Like here's 30 pages on this one thing. Here, go have fun. Put your name on it somewhere.
That would suck if you finally get successful when you're dead.
I mean, isn't that how it goes? That's how it's just like, oh, yes, Stephonika died, and then we found, 30 scripts on her laptop. They were all unfinished except for 3, but there's material. I just like I have so many notes like on my phone where I've come up with like a line or a phrase, or I hear somebody like tell a joke and I'm just like, did you just come up with that? Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm stealing that. Put me in the next thing. Like I have so many notes on my phone. It's not even funny.
Well, they say you never know when your next great idea is going to come from. So.
Exactly. Mostly they come when I'm in the shower or driving. Note to self, I'm writing a note to self, blah, 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 blah. Or like when I'm hiking and probably the other hikers, just like I'm not gonna stop to like text while I'm hiking. I'm just gonna like pull out my phone and do like a weird video that's of my chin, and I'm like into it. And, like I came up with this idea, and then these people, just like walking past me, like there goes that weird Stephonika.
Children, close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Oh God.
So that book that you wrote in high school,
Mm-hmm.
what was it about?
Ooh. Hmm.
Or was it kind of everywhere?
It was. There was like this whole political thing going on. There was this like forbidden romance thing happening. It was. Oof. There are a lot of storylines in that. It would take me a minute to like get my mind back into it. It was Star Warsy.
More storylines than Game of Thrones.
No. Probably not. I'm not quite there yet.
I don't understand how the Arthur and the creator of that show can even keep up with any of his characters.
Oh my goodness! His story Bible must be like a literal Bible at this point. You know, he's got to keep track of hair color and eye color, and like, hey, he did this thing back then. It's just like, wow, that Bible must be massive.
I know whenever I was watching the show, if it wasn't for previously, like that was the only time I've ever been so thankful for previously because I couldn't remember what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty like I loved it. I love a huge immersive, show and story like that. But I definitely had to watch the pilot episode about 3 times before I learned everybody's name. Yeah.
And then when you get to the second episode, there's a bunch of new people. Third episode, new people. Like, wait, what?
There's so much stuff happening, but yeah, it's just like there's certain elements of it. I quite like the show. Sure, it didn't end how I thought it was gonna end, how I hoped it would end. But it was still pretty solid. I like that. Targaryen, bitch. I like
Yeah.
to say that I like my showers Targaryen hot. Like, really, you just boil it.
So, who's your favorite character in the show?
Actually, my favorite character is Jorah. He's just he's such a sad story.
There's so many people. I'm trying to remember who he looks like.
Jorah was the Jorah Mormont. He was the older gentleman played by Ian Glenn. One of Dany's advisors, who like in the beginning was like,
Oh, he had a crush on Daenerys.
Yes, trying to help Daenerys at the beginning, but then fell in love with her, and yeah, that one.
Oh, so bad for him.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite, but I really, really like Ian Glenn, so I might have been biased because of the casting. But also like Jaime and Tyrion definitely, like they have a great story arcs. I mean, yeah.
I liked Jaime Lannister and his brother. Actually, I liked them more than I liked most of the Starks.
Yeah. I mean, Sansa kind of grew on me because she had a pretty great arc. She was this innocent young thing that didn't understand the world, and then we had a lot of bad happen to her. And it's great because she also kind of calls herself for it. It's just like, I might be a slow learner, but I learn. So it's also, she's also very aware of how stupid she was as a kid.
Yeah.
But how I could go, I can go on about story arcs.
Yeah.
But just like Theon, what an amazing. I hated him. Then I felt really bad for him. Then I'm like, what are you doing? And then it was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for you. And then I absolutely fell in love with him. And then I was sad.
Well, that's definitely good writing right there.
I think Theon was pretty great.
Is there a film or TV series you wish you had gotten to write or directed or be part of one way or another?
Oh man. Oof. Again. Oof. I mean, there's so many good ones. I mean, Game of Thrones from like a set decoration standpoint would have been so much. Every single shot is just a beautiful composition.
Probably been a nightmare to.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine. Like, I remember watching the behind the scenes for like, I think it was like the last season or the second before last, and just like the department in charge of snow. Oh my god.
The snow has to look a certain
way.
way.
Team devoted to snow. That is pretty cool. I mean,
like
That's
a whole
that's
team
filmmaking.
that a whole
Yeah.
team dedicates to snow. It's like, hey, you pour too much right here. Or
Yeah,
like,
right. You just blasted the castle with some fake snow. Let's go. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the now I feel like there is. I think Amazon picked up Mass Effect to do into a show. Um,
That'd be interesting.
I can't remember, but I feel like I heard that's happening. But oh man, that's one that I love Mass Effect. I
Like,
think okay, here's one. The new Resident Evil show. I love those games. Uh, um, and yeah, that's that. I don't like it. I think about halfway through the show because it's become one of those like background watches for me. I can't get invested into the story, but the production design is pretty fun. But I mean, as far as the story, I don't like the characters. Oh, I'm disappointed. I'm a disappointed fan. But they remade Resident Evil so much that maybe I'll have a go one of these times. We'll see.
would
I
you
mean,
ever?
really, if I got the chance to just kind of like adapt video games into movies and just be that guy, just like that go-to guy that actually knows how to do it right, that'd be a pretty great career right there.
But it could also
All
be
the Final Fantasy,
really.
let's go.
It could also go really bad if because everyone's gonna have different expectations, just like with books, and then it's like, oh
Yeah.
crap.
Oh, absolutely. And just like, excuse me, but I would definitely only do it for the ones that I'm really into. I guess otherwise, because it's just like I got all the history, like with stuff like Zelda or Final Fantasy or Resident Evil, Mass Effect, and it's just like I got the decades long memory of growing up playing those games. So it's like if it was outside my wheelhouse, be like, okay, give me 2 years pre-production to really dive in. No, I got you. It's all about the pre-production for me. Come on, let's go.
Have you ever thought it'd be cool to make a video game?
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But I think I don't know. I definitely don't have the skill set for that. But it'd be pretty cool to be involved. Like if I get to work with Square Enix and do a voiceover for Final Fantasy character, and be like, all right, I'm ready to just like die. That's cool. I can end now. I'm fine.
So you
I think
mean
that'd
all
be.
right, dying within the first 5 minutes of the game?
I'm good. Let's go. Oh my god, just get me in there. Super fan over here.
Don't you at least want to have an epic death?
Yes, absolutely. I want you to die. I want you to die the best. And just give me the villain. Yeah. Oh, I'd play a good villain. Step over, Sephiroth. Let's go.
How do you go about starting to write?
I mean, I think usually I start with characters. And so I get these ideas for characters, kind of built up over time, and then I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and then like, what kind of obstacle? What's their story? What do they want? What's in their way? And what other characters from my vast repertoire of back burner things, like what can I pull out, and what marries together well. So yeah, I think it's just a word vomit of character histories and stuff that I've built up over time. And Generally, I get a lot of ideas too from just like listening to music. Like sometimes like I'll catch, you know, like some lyrics from this or that song, like, oh, that's an interesting image that brings to mind, like what kind of person is in that scenario. And or like you know, a piece of music might, you know, those grand, you know, kind of orchestral pieces sometimes, you know, kind of give me these interesting emotions of just like, oh, I can see this thing happening during, you know, that note with this, you know, it's just, it comes from all sorts of places, and then eventually it's just like, all right, word vomit, Taika Waititi, just go for it. And yeah.
That must take a lot of self-discipline because, like, anytime I try to write, constantly trying to map everything out before I even know what I want to write
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I'll do that, and it's just like there's one that I've been working on. Excuse me. There's one story that I've been working on since like '06. Um, and I finally, I think since last year, because it went through the process of like, how many pages do I need to tell the story? Like, what is this story? And so it went from a trilogy of movies to now a limited series, probably like 10 or 12 episodes, hour long. It's very much, it's kind of like a sci-fi, like it has very Final Fantasy kind of kind of vibes, very ensemble kind of cast. And so last year I think I finally got the first episode out, down. I think it's probably draft 10 of an attempt to figure out how this story starts and which characters to start it with. Because not all the characters are in episode one. That would be way too much. Well, there are already a lot of them. Um, I went off on a track there.
It's
Um,
all good.
but yeah, so there's that story. Eventually, that one will be done. Yeah. We were on. But yeah, I can't remember what you asked me that I went on that tangent. But oh yeah, mapping out. Yeah, so there's the mapping out. So that one has a lot of like, you know, mapping out. Like, okay, so you have like, you know, character beats, and there's like some story beats, and like, oh, this should happen here, and then it's like pulling from, you know, index cards in your brain to like the here, there, and everywhere. And then there's the ideas. Uh, so yeah, that one is very like, I'm being very meticulous about, you know, sometimes, but sometimes like two characters will start talking in my head. Um, and so like, I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna write what you're saying to each other down on this thing. You know, I'll have like a 3-page scene, and it's like, I don't know where it goes, but I have this, you know, beat that happens. And then there's other stories that it's just like, okay, I'm gonna put this person in a room, I'm gonna put this person in a room, and we're gonna talk about this, and I'm just gonna see where it goes. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I might get like, you know, a half a page of good, you know, malleable dialogue out of 5 pages. But I tinker with various different techniques of just getting words on page. That's all it's about, so that you can rewrite those terrible words into good words.
Have you ever heard of an app called the Most Dangerous Writing app?
No. Please tell
Uh,
me about the most dangerous writing.
so the guy I was interviewing yesterday was suggesting that I start free, or yesterday or the day before. I can't keep my days together. Anyway, he was telling me about this app called the Most Dangerous Writing app, and you select like a time limit: 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to write. If you stop for more than 5 seconds, everything you've written up to that point is lost. So
Whoa.
you have to write and not stop. So I've been trying to test it out a little bit and practice on it. Maybe that'll help me get more self-efficient.
Ah, that sounds so I think I'd have so much anxiety that I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd just be like, well, in the end, it's pointless because I need to stop and take a drink and
Just
I
do
think
five.
yeah, I don't think that would work for me. Let me know how that goes.
Okay.
Jesus.
It's,
Whoa, aptly named. They're just like, give a writer a heart attack app. And they're like, this is pointless app. What are you doing?
I did like one writing for like 5 minutes. Where I just was writing like Samuel Jackson's agent was trying to call me.
That's so fun.
Just the most unrealistic thing ever. That'd be really scary though. If like you write that and your phone actually does go off, you're like, wait.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Is there anything you would like to say or talk about that I didn't ask?
Oh man, we covered so much that I don't even know. You got my brain firing on all sorts of cylinders. I'm just like, oh man, now I kind of want to go play Final Fantasy. But no, I have a job in 2 hours.
What job do you have?
Okay, I like to joke that it's my first hand job. It's a hand modeling thing. I don't even know. I don't even. I'm hand modeling. I'm also an actor, and so this is my first hand modeling thing. Buddy of mine texted me about a week ago and be like, "Hey, do you want to do this thing?" Okay. Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. So that'll be interesting. I have no idea. Sure.
We'll see if your hand takes all the other hand models out of the park.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird not to have black nail polish on right now because like it's so weird. I no, this isn't me. No black nail polish is not me, but that's fine. It's that act of life.
Where can people go to learn more about you and stay updated with you?
My website's currently down. I need to revamp that. I mean, but you can find me on Instagram, Stephonika W. You know how to spell Stephonika. But yeah, Stephonika with a K, W Kaye. That's very confusing. I'm on Instagram. And then also, I'm on IMDb. I'm the only Stephonika on IMDb with a K. Stephonika. Yeah. And it's eventually Stephonika.com when I get my website back up and running. Who knows? I need to do that. Let's put that on the schedule.
That's always fun, having more things to do.
What day does that go on? All right.
And that still gives me 3 hours to do nothing. Awesome.
I'll just procrastinate a little more on that. Everything's fine.
Let's put all that stuff for tomorrow, so I have the whole day to do nothing. Then tomorrow, like, crap.
Exactly. Off day? What's that? What? I don't know what that is. How do you spell that? Well, thank you very much for having me. This is a lot of fun. You're a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.